everyone. So, for your activity, you should have gotten to groups of 4. Like I said, if there's not enough people, you can do a group of 3 or a group of 2 if it works out that way. But that can only be one group. The rest of the groups need to be groups of 4. Okay? And everybody needs to get a blank piece of paper from your teacher. Okay? You're going to take your blank piece of paper, this, and you're going to fold it in 4ths like that. Okay? Then flatten it back out. And you're going to pick a spot to draw. Okay? So, in that spot, you draw whatever you want. Okay? It can be just the corner of a little drawing. It can be of something bigger. It can be whatever you want it to be. The only couple of rules I want you to follow to make the activity work for everybody. 1, your drawing needs to be only part of a drawing. Don't draw something just smack dab in the middle. Whatever you draw needs to go over the 2 lines, right? You have lines here, right? You draw something that needs to go over the line, okay? But other than that, you draw whatever you want. You're making part of a drawing for the other 3 people at your group to finish, okay? Once you start the activity, once everybody's seen this video, done your Kickstarter, and got the papers in front of you, you're going to look at the time that's left and divide that time into 4 chunks, 4 equal chunks. And then everybody needs to draw for that full time, okay? And I'll have your teacher tell me how much time each of you have to draw so I can grade you based on that you worked the whole time. So draw whatever you want and draw for the entire time, okay? So I'm going to show you a couple of examples of how this could work, right? So let me get one of the ones here. I'm going to show it to you a piece at a time. So look, here's one that I started. So I drew, I was going to draw a face, so I drew this line, I drew this eyeball. When I drew the eyeball, I realized I'd drawn it way, way, way too high for a face that shape, so I was like, well, whatever, I'll draw another eyeball. And then I drew this pretty quickly, so I didn't get to finish it, because I was just doing it for the demo. But I went and I gave it hair, and then I came and did the eye in detail. If I had more time, I'd do the other eye in detail. And then once you draw something, you're probably going to draw something and then still have like 5 minutes left to go. So you have 2 options when you have time left to go. 1 is add more detail to what you've already drawn. Or 2 is focus on the background and draw some in the background. So I kind of did both. I added a nose in here, but then I also drew like a sun back here and started doing clouds and little birds, right? So then once the time is up, you take your paper, you have it unfolded, have it flat, and you pass it to the next person, okay? So I made my wife help me out, and I passed it to her, and she took the lines where I crossed over, and that's what you have to do, the next person. You have to use these lines that cross over, but other than that, you can do whatever you want. So this is an example of someone who took the drawing and then just did something completely different. She used my lines, and then this line right here of the nose, but then she just drew a dragon, and she came and did mountains, and drew a little dragonfly in the background, and some fire, and you could go into more detail on fire, or you could do more detail on the dragon, draw scales if you had more time, right? But she just did something completely different. Another example, again, here's how it started. Here's mine, right? I drew a map, right? I drew the coastline, and I got pretty detailed with my coastline. Didn't just draw it quick because I'm trying to use up my time, right? Drew a little river coming in here, and I started drawing this path, right? And I could have like started labeling things. I put a label here, but I didn't label it. But if I had more time, I could. I could have labeled this and labeled this little cave with the monster eyes in it. I like the cave with the monster eyes. And then I had my river come out of the mountain and go to the water. And then my wife, when she took it over, she kept going with the map. Just asked her to. And that's what you could do. You could just keep drawing the thing that the other person is drawing. So she just did her coastline. Her coastline is much cooler than my coastline, I feel like. And came down here, and she's got the path that keeps going, and she had other little landmarks. She had a little arch and a desert with some cactuses and skull, and then it goes up and through the mountain, and then there's an oasis. And she definitely has space to like do more stuff here, and she could put labels on her things if this one had labels up here, right? She could add in little map things like a compass or whatever. All sorts of things you can do, okay? Then time is up. You'd pass it to the next person. They would draw here, and they need to use the lines that cross over, right? And then the last person has the trickiest bit because they've got to use two sets of lines. There's going to be lines that cross over here and lines that cross over down here. But everybody's going to get a last square. Everybody's going to get a tricky square. So when you're done, all 4 people in your group should have all drawn on each other's papers. Okay? Last step is on the back, you put your name on the square that you made. You should probably do that when you're done drawing before you pass it. The next person puts their name on the square that they made. At the end, there should be 4 names on it. Each person should have drawn 4 times. If you're a small group, you'll end up drawing on your paper again when it gets back around to you. So you'll be finishing it up if it's 3 people, right? But everybody should draw 4 times. You're hand into the sub the paper at the end. Sub will collect them, and I'll grade them based on did you use the full time, right? You could use a little bit of time to plan, think about quickly what you're going to go. But I imagine you're probably going to have less than 10 minutes per square based on how long it takes you to do Kickstarter. So make sure you draw quickly. Don't worry too much about it. I'm not grading it on how good it is or on how realistic it is or whatever. I'm just going to be grading on did you all the other person's lines and did you use the whole time, or did you just draw like 2 things and then be done? Okay, so I'm excited to see how these come out and get to work.